Good afternoon. Now let's move on today. We'll look at Java arrays. We'll also look at how we can implement the Java programs using the arrays. Now, what we're going to consider in our today's topic. We'll look at first of all what arrays are, also declare and create arrays, and also look at examples of using arrays, creating and initializing an array, and also using an array to store values, and also summing the elements of an array, so on and so forth. And perhaps look at some examples that we can actually do thereafter practically in the Java bin. So now what will be the outcome of this lecture today? We're going to learn what arrays are, use arrays to store data in and retrieve data from the lists and tables of the values. And also look at how to declare arrays, initialize arrays, and refer to them as elements of individual index of the array. So basically, as we discuss arrays today, we want to focus so much on the concept of arrays as opposed to just having variables in a program. Okay. So now, this lecture will introduce data structures for the first time. In this case, we are referring to arrays as data structures, which I'm going to talk about. So the arrays basically are the structures that consist of data items that of the same type. So if you can create a structure where you can store data of the same type, then what you have is an array. For example, that you can give when it comes to arrays, maybe say it's a crate of drinks or beer. So you find that in that crate, there are so many cells where you can put a lot of bottles, but those bottles, they should be of the same kind. In this case, Coca-Cola, it can be a crate of moss. The fact is, those empty spaces that in that crate are keeping something of the same type. So in the same way, we can also create something that behaves like a crate in programming, and this is what you're referring to as an array. So an array is going to have a variable length arguments, which will be divided into subcells, which later on we can use them to store data as we program. So now, common array manipulation and static methods of class arrays are from the Java utility package, which later on we import if we want to use. And I've got array lists, where the size of an array can change as the program executes. We call them dynamic data structures. These are called pointers, which we'll discuss later on. So they resize as necessary to accommodate more or few elements as we develop programs. So arrays group of variables called elements containing values of the same type is what we're referring to as arrays. So at this moment, maybe I would like to talk about why there's a motivation of doing arrays when, in the actual sense, as a developer, we can just work with variables. Now, why arrays in short? Variables basically hold data a single element at a time. So it cannot exist where a variable holds two elements at the same time. It's either one element is held there or there's nothing in that variable. So which means if we want to have 20 elements to be held temporarily when the program executes, this means that you're going to create 20 variables. And remember, the variables are given 255 space in the computer. And if you have 20 elements and 20 variables multiplied by that, you're going to waste a lot of space in the program. So then, you can create just one variable and subdivide it into cells so that each of those cells can hold data and be executed differently or at the same time. So the point is, arrays are those structures, okay, where you can have a single variable, then divide it into sub, okay, cells where information can be kept there. So instead of having 20 variables, you can create one variable and divide it into 20 cells so that it can hold 20 elements. That's efficiency. That's the purpose of arrays in programming. So as you can see here, this whole structure seen here is a variable which is subdivided into cells. Because of that, we call this variable as an array, because we create a structure that will be keeping that in this manner. Right, so an index must be a non-negative integer, because it can cause a lot of issues if you assign an integer which is a negative as index value of an array. So every array object knows its length and it stores, okay, and it stores it in the length instant variable, so that when you store elements which are more than its maximum limit, the program should be able to tell that this is beyond what is specified as the storage of an array. So as you can see, how to declare an array. So declaration and array creation expression for an array basically is as follows. So you can either do this, you can say int, then put the empty square brackets, then the array name. In this case, it is C. Okay, then you can say right is equal to new int, then you can specify the cells you have in the brackets here as follows. So if you're going to have the array called C, then you say int, then open square bracket C is equal to, when you say new, you instantiate that type, which is going to have 12 cells. So this is one way you can declare, okay, an array. Another way, okay, that you can also, if you want to avoid doing this at once, you can first of all just say int, then put the square brackets, then the name of an array like that. Then later on, you can specify the size of an array. It's very, very important that you do that. Otherwise, this is, okay, this is an array which is empty. You have not specified how many elements can be stored in that. So you can do this. So you can either do it at once like this, right, as you can see from here on top, or you can break it down, just write this, okay, and then later on specify the elements that this array is going to hold. So it's one way that you can, okay, use to declare an array. So continuation of declaring and creating arrays as follows. When the element type and the square brackets are combined at the beginning of the declaration, all the identifiers in the declaration are array variables. For example, for readability sake, as we saw in the previous example, we can later on specify how many elements will be occupied or held by that data structure called what? Element. So for example, we are talking about using an array to initialize. Okay, so array initializer, a comma separated list of expressions can be also employed if you want to give values to an array. For example, look at the program. So you have a program here which is going to make use of an array here, okay, with the size of 10. Now, how do you initialize that array? So basically, you might actually, okay, use an array like that to specify the number of groups you're going to encounter. Look at this. This array has the index of 10, which means the length of this array is 10. So if you say int counter is equal to 0, then you say counter must be array.length. What does it mean? If you say array.length, you are saying get the length, the number of elements this array is going to have. So in this case, we're going to say 10 or less. Okay, so we're going to repeat 10 times this kind of operation. So besides, okay, knowing the index number, you can also know which, okay, method is going to get our length of an index. So in this case, the array.length is the one that will give you the elements the array have. Right. So now using arrays. So an array is determined by the number of elements in the initializer. For example, if you don't specify that this from the outset that this array is going to have 12 elements as we saw, okay, you can basically just give it elements. If you make it empty like this one, then provide elements. If there are 4 or 5, then it means by default this array is going to have 5 indexes or cells. So this is also another way that you can use to specify the length of an index by giving it what? The values that you want. So here's an example here. We've got this array defined here, and it has how many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has 10 elements. So by default, the length of this array is 10. So this is also another way that you can specify how many elements this array is going to have. And by doing this, you are doing two things at once. You're specifying the length, and you're also assigning it the values that should go in those cells. Very, very effective, efficient. So this is an example which we're going to look at later on as we program. So now, we are talking about examples of arrays from the previous course. So you can see that an attempt to access the value of a final variable before it is initialized will cause a compilation error. That's why it is necessary for us to attempt to modify a final variable after it's initialized. This actually will save a lot of errors that we'll be encountering while using the arrays, as we will see later on practically. Okay, so now this example talks about how you can sum or add an array. So with the use of the for loop, we can actually add all these elements of an array by specifying their index numbers. So this means you're going to repeat 10 times, which means you're going to add these all values as we'll see later on. Okay. So this is another example that we consider as we do practical. Okay. So arrays are very, very powerful elements that can help you to do a lot of things with just a single variable. So these are the examples that we can actually look at and try to type in NetBean and see how the results will be. Okay, so these are very good examples. So at this moment now, I would like us to look at a practical in NetBean that will help us understand more how we can apply these concepts more effective. So now, what we want to do is, we want to have an array that will have 5 cells, right? And in these cells, we're going to put figures or numbers in these cells. Then later on, we want to find the sum of all these numbers that we're going to put in the index, and you can also find the average of these numbers later on. So the program is to have one variable called an array with 5 cells, give them numbers, and add those numbers, and also you can find the average of those numbers. That's what I'm going to do now, right now. So now let's look at, this is NetBean. Now let's look at the practical aspect of this. I want to look at a program, as I mentioned, that will do arrays, that will perform summation and average on an array that contains 5 elements. Right, so let's just open the program and create our own package. Okay, so next. Then we can call it Mulungush 4. We can call it Mulungush 4. Right, finish this and wait for it. Okay, has been processed. Let's just wait for it to finish the package and everything. Okay, it's done. So now let's remove what is here. Okay, we type our one. So let's declare a variable called array. So let's say num. Remember we use these brackets. Then we call it num. Then we can straight away define its length. We are talking about 5. Okay, so this array is going to have it's going to have 5 cells. I'm going to declare a loop because I'm going to use a loop. I'm going to use a loop variable to repeat the input of 5 elements. Okay, and I'm going to have a variable called sum for me to do the sum. And then I'm going to have a variable called float, okay, average, which will be the type. Okay, so I'm going to just call it avg for average, so that we can actually sort out what you're looking for in the program right now. So right now I've got the v, the variable has been done. I've got an array here. This is an array that I'm going to use. Okay, an array of 5 elements. Then I'm going to sort out the input now. Remember, the input should be 5 numbers going into this array because the size of this array is 5. So to avoid entering one by one manually, so I'm going to enter the 5 elements at once using the for loop. Remember we discussed the repetition statements in the previous lecture. So I'm going to say I equals to 1. Okay, then I less or equal to 5. Then I plus plus, just to increase. Then okay, you put a block there. So then I'm going to say system dot out dot print. Okay, then I'll put enter the numbers. Enter them. And I'm going to have a way of inputting these numbers into an array. So now remember people, for me to have that provision to input from the console, I'll need the services of the scanner. So I'm going to say scanner s is equal to scanner, open bracket, for me to do the system in. Okay, dot system in, close bracket. Okay, I need to have open bracket there, like that. Right, so this is not imported. I have to just click there and add this import so I can use it. So right now scan is there, so now I can do the input. Okay, in the num. Okay, in the num I. Okay, why I? Because I will be incrementing from 1 to 5. So when I is 1, it will accept number in cell 1. When num is 2, it will accept a number in cell 2. So that's why I've put I, because this will be incrementing according to the loop. So it will be equals to s dot next int, like that. So now this will be taken care of. Okay, so people, this must be next, like that. Nice, huh? So this one is going to take care of the input for all the 5 elements. So when I is 1, it's going to put in cell 1. When I is 2, it's going to put in cell 2 until 5. So now when this is done, I need to do the summation, right? So I'm going to initialize my sum here so that it can start from 0. Yes, it will do the right thing, because even if I don't put 0 there, it might do something right or it might do something wrong. But to be sure, as a programmer, you tell the computer everything that you want. So I want by default sum to begin from 0. That's why, okay, I've put 0 there. So at whatever pace, it starts from 0. So I'm going to say sum, okay, is equal to sum plus int, okay, num, then I'll put I there. Okay, so this is going to add, okay, all the elements in this, okay, array which we have created, which we are calling sum. Okay, then from there I'm going to do the AVG, the average. So the average is equal to, remember average, you do, okay, the sum of all the numbers, you divide the number of observation, which is the loop. In this case, you loop 5 times by default. That's why I put that one there. So this is what I want the program to do, to input 5 times, to add all the elements 5 times, and to do the average of all the numbers just like that. Thereafter, I will expect to have an output, okay, to give me those elements I want. So I'm going to do the system, okay, the system dot out dot print line. Then I'm going to have the sum of five numbers is, I'll create space there, then I'll put sum, because the sum will be computed there, like that. And then I'm going also to do another SOP, the system dot output, or rather out, then I'll do print, okay, print line, then I'll say the average of 5 numbers is space there, then I'll put AVG, sorry, it must be out here, again this plus must be out here, then put AVG, because it's a variable, should not be in the quotes. Okay, so in this way, the program will do what I need, the computations here, because here, that's where I'm doing the input. So commenting, this is the input of 5 numbers. Then here, we are doing sum of 5 numbers. Right. Then what's happening here is the average of 5 numbers. Right. Then here I'm outputting, I'm giving out. So output of sum. What's happening here? This is the output of average. Pardon, average. So basically, as you can see, this program has taken care of VIPO. VIPO is the only way you can actually write a program without defaults. So what is on top here is these are variables that you have declared here. Okay, don't forget the power of VIPO. And then from here we are doing input and processing. It's by default. Once you input, you process. Then what's happening here? We are doing the output. Right. So VIPO has been taken care of because you have looked at, okay, the variables, the input and process, and you have looked at the output. So I'm going to save this. We'll save it. Then from there I will process it so that you can see the output is going to bring. So I'm going to just stretch the console page so that you can see the program well after it executes. So basically in programming, whatever you do, remember the concept of VIPO. Variables, input, process, output. In that way, you won't have difficulties. Given any problem in programming, if you're able to get it, interpret it in terms of VIPO, you won't have any issues at all. Okay, so let's see. Okay, because the program now is going to run and see what it's going to do. Okay. Okay, it has finished. As you can see, enter a number. I'm going to put 25. So it's going to repeat this 5 times. Remember the loop? The loop here, we said from 1 to 5. Enter numbers. Right? So I'm going to enter 5 times. So this is the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one. After the fifth one, what will follow? It's going to do the summation and the average of 5 numbers. Once I punch enter or I press enter, it's going to do this summation and it will give me the output if the program has no bugs. So I've entered 5 elements, then I press enter. Okay, seems like there's a problem there. Let's check it. What could be a problem causing that? So it's important to read the errors, and that way we can quickly go to where there's a problem and sort it out. So there's an exception in thread menu Java line. Index, okay, is outside, okay, 5. Right? So let's see, they're saying the index, the limit has gone beyond it. So now let's find out, okay, what this means. Right? So it is saying line what? If you check from it, okay, that is line number 31. Let's check it for me. Line number 31 is here. Okay, so now dot I, okay, then next is. So they're saying this is beyond 5, according to what we are taught from the errors here. So just failed to process because of that exception that we are taught from there. So now let's find out what this actually means. So now what we're going to do, we are going to look at the size of an array, right? So we said we specified it to be 5, okay? So let's just increase it to 6 so that we can take care of that limit space, right? So we'll save this one and we will try to run the program once again. So let's look at this one. If the error will change or there will be more errors here. Okay, so now it's saying what? Let's look at code number 39. Okay, so let's check. Stuff like this happens in programming. Okay, line 39. System.out.print line. So what's happening there? The average of 5 elements is this one, AVG. Okay, AVG. What could be the problem there? Okay, AVG. So let's copy, maybe the variable name has not been handled very well. Maybe we have taken the wrong one. So the best is to copy and try to paste it here. Okay. Okay, so let's see what's happening. Okay, so this. System. Okay, let's see if there's any. Alright, so AVG. Okay, AVG. Right, system.out.println. The average of 5 numbers is Oh yeah, there's no plus here. Okay, we have to put a plus. And then from there, okay. And then from there, let's see. Okay, so let's see if we can get what is happening. All right. So let's also initialize this plot so that you can start from 0. Okay. So let's see. Right. I think everything needs to be initialized, because remember, if the program is not initialized, it will pick in values. So I've also initialized average just like sum here. And let me try to save this and try to run the program. Let's see how the output will be. Okay, so let's enter 5 numbers, and then there 45, 36. Yes. So now it's okay, because the sum now is has computed. Okay, 186, and the average of 5 numbers is. So people, what was the problem in the code? Okay, as I said, if you don't initialize, sometimes it will work, okay, to pick the right value. Sometimes the program can pick anything else. So that's why as a programmer, you have to tell the program exactly what you want. Just like under sum here, we have to be specific that we start from 0. That's how come to accept it. So even in the average here, we are supposed to specifically tell the program that it has to start from 0. So I don't pick any other value. So it's very important that if you're going to work with a variable that you have a formula that is going to be processed later on, you make sure that from the beginning you say this variable is 0. So that whatever you do is going to replace 0 and have that value. So this is very, very important. So what you have here is the input of 5 numbers in this index and the summation. But what I want to show you is, let's see what is in the array. Let's also output this array. So here I'm going to output this array so that you can see what is contained in the array. So I'm going to say output.print 9. Then I'm going to output this array here. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Right. I'm going to have this. Okay. Then I'm going to have high there. Right. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm just trying to create, okay, to create a cell that is going to be indicating that this is 1. Okay. Thereafter, I want the cell to indicate what it contains inside, right? So I'm going to do this again. I'll put this. Then I'm going to have num, okay, to show the actual number in the num class. Then I'm going to have this, right? So to indicate in say 1, there is this number, right? So just say this. So programming is about practice. If you practice, we're able to see what I'm doing without difficulties. So there, so let me save this one. Okay, let me see if there's any error here, whatever I missed before I finish it. So this one, okay, right, whatever I missed here. Oh, there's no semicolon. See it. So you have to put semicolon at the end. Every time that you finish, you have to put a semicolon. So save this one. Let's see. Let's run this one. Let's have some. So I'm going to enter numbers here. I'm going to enter 25. So in cell 1 there's 25, 36. In cell 2 there's 36, 58. In cell 3 I've entered 58. In cell 4 I've entered 47. And in cell 5 I've entered 59. Right. But what I want to do also I want it to show separate, okay, so that you can see it later on. So I can also do this, okay. I can also, what I want to do is, right, let me do this, okay, let me do this. I'll say elements, but I want this one to be out of this loop, okay. But before that, I want it to have its own loop that it can repeat 5 times. Alright, so I less equal to 3, then I plus plus, then I'll do this. The purpose I've done this is to have the contents of the loop be displayed from 1 to 5. So I'm going to put that statement there. Alright, I want to avoid every time that I enter a value, it shows that it goes to say 1. I want this to be outputted later on. That's the purpose of me doing that. Alright, so from there, I'm going to process this. First, I'll save it. Right, and I'll process it. Let's see what's going to be now. Let me see what I've told the program to do. So if I enter 25, good, not show anything, it's supposed to show at the end. Okay, but the element contains these values. Yes. So this is an array. In cell 1 there's 25. Cell 2 there's element 36. Okay, cell 3 there's this. This is what I want. So basically I've just displayed the elements of an array. So I can as well indicate on top here that I'm talking about elements of an array. I can indicate this in system.out.print, right? .print, right? And here, right? It goes just like that. Say print line, right? And here, this one to spread it up so it can look nice. So program is about also art. It has to look nice. So I want to put a line below. I want to put a line here. I can put equals lines below and to show what I'm doing. Right. So basically what I'm doing is non-functional, just to look nice. I want the program to look nice. What is not done here? Something has been reported, not correct. Okay, so S is supposed to be calculator, and this is supposed to be calculator also. I think everything is okay now, it's pretty good. So now thereafter again, right? I know this is going to give me error because I didn't solve it in advance. Right? So now this is what I'm going to do now to solve what I've done yesterday on top. So I'm going to put on 5, 36. Now this is going to work. That. Yeah, that's what. So now elements of another, that line I have to put there, and elements it is section. So basically this is it with the topic today. You can do a lot of things with arrays and modify them according to your own liking. Until next time.